time, and across the country, consumers are getting ready to celebrate the holiday season. Families will be getting together, exchanging gifts, and enjoying a holiday meal. But looming is something that may have a bad effect on this holiday season's festivities: the supply chain crisis. I'm interviewing three people who have had to deal with the supply chain and staffing shortage crisis that goes with it. Kristen Grant, a small business owner, AJ Hess, the manager of a local grocery co-op, and Margaret Fairchild, a consumer who recently visited a hospital emergency room. I asked Kristen how the supply chain crisis has affected her business. Here's what she had to say.
So I've been in business, like I said, for about 14 years now. My jewelry is one of a kind, which is hard to keep doing for 14 years, but that's what I strive for. Many of my beads come either from my travels or from international gem and bead shows. The purpose of my business is not so much to be successful as it is to build community engagement and to give back to the community through a percentage of my profits into things like for the homeless or troubled teens or those kinds of things. Because I literally went to a craft shop today to get just a very basic item. Usually I buy my beads through other avenues, but I need the basics from the craft shops, and every row and every shelf was fairly empty. Bead shops are no longer existent because they've gone out of business either prior to COVID or during COVID. So I would have to drive a far distance, and then still, you're never guaranteed of finding something unique or something cost efficient. There too, when you find something that you really want, it's out of stock. The size you want is out of stock. And the prices have gone up dramatically on certain things like lapis lazuli, which is a very popular gemstone. Literally in 1 month, because of the troubles in Afghanistan, the price tripled.
I wanted to know from Kristen, what was the effect of the supply chain crisis on her jewelry business?
Because people can't get out, because they're afraid of being in crowded public places, because they can't find what they need, or the frustrations of having packages stolen from their door and never delivered, all those kinds of things, my business has exploded. And so where I think I have enough supplies for, in one case, for 2 years, I thought, oh, I'm good. One show, I blew out of all that specific stock. I have just done my top sales of all time.
AJ Hess explains what's going on in the retail grocery space with the supply chain crisis.
So I'm the general manager, which, as the sort of title implies, I do a little bit of everything. We have had a difficult time getting the amount of products that we're ordering. So our vendors have a lot of out of stocks, meaning they just don't have it to supply to us. We had one vendor actually not be able to bring us things for weeks because they couldn't get packaging. The production level, like I said, with packaging, also with raw materials, and then the production side, and then also within distribution, delivery drivers has been one of the most challenging. And so our orders actually get cut depending on how many staff they have to actually fill the orders to bring to us, whether they have the product or not. Many folks have probably heard hiring is a big challenge everywhere. So we're seeing that for ourselves, not quite as much, but definitely at our distribution level and the producer level as well.
The supply chain crisis and staffing shortages are erupting in areas you wouldn't think about. Margaret Fairchild went to the emergency room, spent 12 hours there. Here's what she experienced.
Now, my worst experience in the emergency room in recent years has been 2 hours waiting. I didn't think I would be in the waiting room for more than 2 hours because I've never been in the waiting room for more than 2 hours. And even that's too long, but I waited for more than 6 hours, really. I mean, I actually, after having arrived there at 7:30, I did not get brought in until about, I guess it was about 1:30 in the morning, maybe even closer to 2.
Did the hospital staff give you any reason why it was taking so long?
There were not enough beds, that all the beds were taken by people who were being admitted. And apparently they were short-staffed. As I said, this has never happened before, never that long.
Our guests have ideas on how the policies can change to deal with the supply chain crisis now and in the future. Here's what they had to say.
We're going to have to rethink how we do things. As far as me, I am trying to be very forward thinking. I'm trying to plan ahead. I'm spending way more money than I intended to spend, with the anticipation that handmade crafts and local businesses are going to do this a lot better than they have in the recent past. I think we may go back to that kind of trend.
Do you think that employers really need to sort of like reflect on how they're being, are they being good employers, and what does that mean? And how are we keeping staff safe in this situation? I think there are some sort of higher level policies, like hazard pay for frontline staff was talked about multiple times and just sort of never came about. Now we paid hazard pay for over a year, but I think now employers need to really think about moving forward how they're going to be good to their staff and make staff want to work there and have a good job. I mean, ideally a job that you could see yourself moving up in or having a career there, for longer periods of time, and not overwork people. I think folks got burnt out too because staffing shortages, and then we had people overworked who were there.
I think, for instance, the idea of the Medicare for all would help. I just think that having a better healthcare system, which was oriented toward providing good healthcare for everybody, would definitely help. There would be a whole different approach, I think, in the hospitals and so forth, because they would put a premium on, people's health and life.
This is Connie Komm for PhillyCAM Voices.